Dear Grace, 2-minute countdown before the train arrives. What do you think of yesterday's posting? The mom and dad story for the School of Comedy movie. I think it was based on a real story, fictional story. I don't know what the other options are. Somewhere in between, thereabouts. I've determined that these 1 minute, says now, so there's no way that was ever 2 minutes. Another complaint for trans wink. Fuck they're called. Grace. Oh, this is an old car, 126. It is ratty as shit. I think it's got fucking mold growing on it. Wish me luck, Grace. I'm back at the one of many places I will eventually marry you, Grace. He's my pastor now, so I'll marry us. Crows literally have like an endless supply of worms. Just walk around, block them out of the ground. And those poor little fuckers underground just processing that earth, making it pure. And I guess they're fucking their brains out as well. Waiting for the day they're plucked up to heaven, worm heaven, by a crow, or a robin, or a starling, or pretty much anything. They really do suck. I get it. There's a lot of rain, you're drowning, you want to come up to the surface, but still. I'd say learn to swim, dig deeper down. Or just stick half your head up, go straight up, like a flagpole. So at worst, if I go butt forward, or butt up like a flagpole, and then when the worm comes and bites your ass, let him. He's gonna pull you apart. You gotta pull down so that you separate in the middle, and then the part with your head will still grow a new body, and the part that the crow ate, who gives a fuck? It's just the asshole. The crows are kind of assholes, so they deserve just the asshole. Trying to decide if Mick can be his back or if all crows walk this way. See, crows walk, most birds hop. Crows can hop, but this fucker walks. I was going to record this today, live, Grace. 1 hour a day live at the library. Pastor Dave preaches to the pathetic. School of Comedy. Pretty soon, the comedy cult. I realize as a pastor, I need more dirt on me than just using a lot of weed and almost killing my parents in a fiery crash. If you haven't listened to that episode, listen to the one before this one. It's way funnier than this will ever be. In the comedy cult, between the comedy cult and the Church of Comedy is in the comedy cult you actually live with Pastor Dave in his house. And you have to follow the rules of the house. These Pastor Dave's rules. The other house members have rules, but Pastor Dave doesn't follow them, so he doesn't care if you follow them either. But he only cares if you follow his rules, because he's the leader of the cult. And the leader of the cult always gets what they want. So my cult, you can live in my house, but there's certain rules. And don't worry, no weird sexual shit. However, there will be punishments for breaking the rules. As an example, today, one of my fellow housemates created an infraction which would require a punishment. I won't use any names, but long black hair on the shower wall, not even on the drain or the floor, just right on the wall, eye level. Gotta see it either going in or going out. I'm not saying they all have to check the shower meticulously after every time they use it, but long black, eye length, it's definitely an infraction. Now, if you're wondering what the penalty is, this person, first off, I took a picture of the hair and sent it to the person. I might as well say her. My male housemate does not have long black hair. I think I said it before, but my new housemate looks like the grown-up version of the baby in the house. He's now almost a toddler. That little fucker's almost walking. Sorry. Little kid's almost walking. The penalty for the hair is 1 grande pike with heavy cream delivered. However, whenever they want. They don't have to rush out and get it right away. Just next time they're on their way home, they're by Starbucks, they'll remember, fuck, I got caught. I left here in the shower. Fair is fair, square is square. I will buy David, otherwise known as Pastor Dave, a grande pike with heavy cream. Even though it'll probably be cold as fuck by the time I get home. I'm just assuming their thoughts, Grace. I can't actually read their minds. School of Comedy. Here's a free joke for any of the pranksters out there. Create a fake app, and on the app, you just have 2 boxes. One that says music, 3 boxes: music, podcasts, or other. And then you can just put it on a phone or a tablet or whatever. And then when you see a pretty girl in the street listening to music, you can just go up to her and show her your tablet as if you're doing a survey. And as long as you're a decent looking guy or girl, she'll probably agree. Stick her finger out and tap on one of the 3 buttons. And then no matter which one she pushes, it automatically changes to pornography, and then in the background the camera was taking her picture, so it shows her picture, her selection pornography, and then a big red arrow saying sending to whatever, or you could go child pornography, and then a big arrow saying sending to child predator registry. Just something that'll fuck with their minds, make them realize you're still alive. All right, Grace. Since I'm too lazy to actually write sermons, and since my freeloaders are still too cheap to entice me into writing my own shit by donating $5 a month, just do it for 3 months. Your heart will feel so much better. You'll know you've done the right thing, that you've helped. Holy shit. I should have recorded this live. Here comes the lady with the brightest, pinkest shoes I've ever seen. I've only ever seen one thing brighter than these shoes. Holy shit, maybe not. I think these shoes win. Those you can see from space. That is neon pink multiplied. In fact, it's so pink, there's not even a purpose to be wearing those shoes. Maybe at a yoga class, but at a library. I don't know, Grace. Anyway, since I'm too lazy to do my own sermons, I'm just gonna fucking read other people's words and hope that they inspire you to get on your knees and scrub your floor. Get on your knees, look under your bed, get rid of your cobwebs before you're dead. And if you must, talk like Dr. Seuss. Chapter 5. The rear view mirror. It's almost always a pretty girl at this park, Grace. I'm not talking about myself. Chapter 5, The Rear View Mirror. I used to think I could shape the circumstances around me. Now I know Jesus uses circumstances to shape me. After high school, I went to Humboldt State University because I wanted to be a forest ranger. Actually, I took one of those aptitude tests in high school and slanted all the answers so the school would report to my parents that if ever anyone was born to be a forest ranger, it was me. What I anticipated most about being a forest ranger is that you live in the woods, you get a green truck, and you get a badge, and to top it all off, you get a hat with a wide brim. After reading the test results, I read my parents had to agree Now I gotta get the fucking camera out, Grace. Here we go. Alright, Grace, I'm recording video because now there's a dog in a bright pink jumper. So we got pink shoes, pink doggy sweater. I don't know why I called it a jumper. This is a regular day. Girl with her Tim Hortons having lunch. Hopefully she's talking to someone on earbuds or she's talking to herself. Can't tell from this angle. An actual pretty girl on the bench across from me. Definitely on earbuds. Might be a nurse. Looks like maybe scrubs. God damn it, I sound like a pervert. Or the world's greatest detective. I prefer the world's greatest detective. World's greatest pastor. Just making sure that nobody in my flock needs anything. The dog seems content. It's sitting where I normally sit. Now I know why my jeans smell like dog shit. Dog feet. Why the hell does she let that dog up where I sit? Changed my mind, Grace. I'm a lunatic. I'm an animal. I'm out of control. I've lost my mind. Send help, Grace. Or 100 would be great, but 1,000 would be marvelous. So 1,000 I could actually go see my kid. Whether she likes it or not. Just fucking show up. What's the worst that can happen? After reading test results I had rigged. I did that as well. Last time I took one of those tests, I made every single one go towards driver. Do you like me alone? Yes. You like staring at maps? Yes. I was meant to be a forest ranger, and my mom took me to the mountains where the forest rangers live. Where are the girls, I thought. This was the first indication that my research had perhaps been flawed. God damn it, pastor's the same problem, Grace. The bitches won't be all up in my face if I'm a man of God. Luckily, Grace, the only God my church has used, so it still doesn't work though, does it? I guess it just means you're gonna have to show up sooner rather than later, Grace. I'm gonna keep recording the video until the lady with the pink shoes comes out of the library. Oh, another lady with a light pink jacket. Eating a sandwich and a Tim Hortons. Forest rangers didn't live in the woods the way I envisioned either. They lived in green concrete dormitories with cots lined up in rows under fluorescent lights. Their greatest adventure, it seemed, was giving tickets to people parked in wrong places. They played cards a lot and ate TV dinners. I envisioned something a bit woodsier and manly, I suppose. Guns, moose heads, snowshoes leaning up against a large stone fireplace, a pile of beef jerky on the table. Something along those lines. I like this guy, Grace. He's a little fucked up. What I learned is that most forestry majors at university go to work for forest products companies like Georgia Pacific or Weyerhaeuser and manage the cutting down of the forest to make paper wrappers or those sorts of things. I was discouraged, but it was too late to change schools, so I went to Humboldt as a forestry major. Shortly into my first year at Humboldt, disenchanted at the lack of girls and the business of harvesting forests in general. You harvest forests, I'm going to harvest souls. That's what pastors do, Grace. And convince everyone to pray to Grace until she shows up in my life again. Breaks my heart one last time and gives me $1 billion. That's it, Grace. That's my offer. So what? I'll reduce down to 1 million. 1 million bucks, Grace, and you leave me alone. And I'll leave you alone. I'll never talk about you ever again. For cash, but change the angle of attack on the video. Perfect. No. Oh, shit. I may have accidentally stopped that video. Hey, I've been recording at all. Who the fuck knows? Well, it's official, Grace. Tim Hortons is just too much cheaper for the quantity of coffee that you get. And I have to go back. I'm not my full chipper self with that grande pike. 2 or 3 of them in a row maybe, but otherwise gotta go back to extra large. Extra large Tim Hortons is cheaper than a grande pike at Starbucks. In fact, for the cult, it can be either. In fact, I'll give them a deal. How about a large 2 cream from Tim Hortons or a grande pike with heavy cream from Starbucks? Whatever their little fucking heart desires. Or just keep your hair out of the shower. Simple as that. Rice nuggets too. Maybe we might have to have a count on the rice maggots. 5 or more and it's an infraction. 4 or less and it's frowned upon, but I don't take it in a picture and send it to him. Like, where the fuck's my coffee? Punch baby. Actually, the punch baby's been here a while. I haven't noticed. But I did get some footage. That'll be in the first video, not the second video. Grease. Shortly into my first year at Humboldt, disenchanted at the lack of girls and the business of harvesting forests in general, I decided to make a change. I decided it was time to make a change, become a pastor. I decided it was time to make a change, move to San Diego, enroll at university, and take up surfing. That would certainly be a future. There would certainly be a future for me in that. What made even more sense to me is that my high school sweetheart, Kathy, was going to UCLA and I could be near her. What I didn't count on, however, was getting my first Dear Bob letter in short order. In her brief letter, Kathy said that after arriving at UCLA, she had become romantically involved with her big brother. What? She's involved with her big brother? I gasped as the limp paper dangled in my hand. Isn't that against the law or something? Besides, I didn't even know Kathy had a big brother. What's his name, anyway? What I later learned is that Kathy had joined a sorority and that a big brother was Greek speak for a guy from a fraternity the sorority sisters paired up with. I was so hurt. I almost wished for the other version. I initially understood to salvage my ego. I vowed never to love again. I also vowed to never join a fraternity or be part of the Greek system. I started a list of other Greek things I would boycott. On my short list were gyros, olives, and the removal of my Achilles tendon. Gyros, good. When I got Kathy's letter, it seemed that my whole brief life had evaporated. So I did what all lovesick young men do. I got in my VW bug and drove 20 hours from Humboldt State. A little funny, Grace, because with my past life, I could relate this back to stories from my youth, but I won't. It's not about me. It's about this guy who wrote this book, which I'm reading, whose name I don't know, the title I keep forgetting. But I have Alzheimer's, and it's allowed. Free pass. It's never gonna fucking snow, Grace. And drove 20 hours from Humboldt State at the northern end of California's UCLA at the southern end. I used to drive 20 hours in the weekend, Grace. I used to work Monday to Friday, 8 to 4. At 4:15, I'd be in my car, driving to another state or province. On the weekend, I'd often cross 2 provinces. Grace. Sleep in my car Friday and Saturday night. Be home late Sunday. Back to work 8 in the morning, Monday. Northern end of California to UCLA at the southern end. My assassin friend, Doug, came with me. And after 2 flat tires, lots of coffee, and several Jolt Colas, we made it to Los Angeles. I dropped Doug off somewhere and head over to Kathy's sorority house, which is just south. Which just was just fuck me. That's it, Grace. That's the total sum of my energy. I think, Grace, 1 p.m. live daily at the park. Here's an observation. Not really a joke, just an observation. Everyone's all like, oh, everyone's looking at their phones, Yeah, I get it. And then you'll see that meme where it's like everyone needs to be reading newspapers and not talking to each other. Yeah, I get it. Here's the difference between the phones and the newspapers. Everyone reading the newspapers was serious as fuck because everything in the newspaper was serious as fuck, except for maybe, 1 page, the comics. Shit people are looking at their phone is meant to entertain them one way or the other, hopefully. Or at least maybe their phone's making them laugh or listen to a podcast to get some new piece of information or new thought pattern or new philosophy on life, or find the church of comedy and decide, you know what, for $5 a month. That's a church I could really get behind. And I'll share that with all my friends and family. In fact, I'll give them all gift subscriptions. So that's just the type of person I am. I'm a kind, generous person, and I know that by giving to the Church of Comedy, David will do good with that money. And he'll only spend about $350 a month on weed. Worked out my budget and my usage. Grace. $350 keeps me from losing my fucking mind. Alright. This guy's gonna go confront Kathy. Bad idea. It was an immense house with stone creatures lining the front walk to intimidate any and all dump boyfriends who approached. I timidly took step after step, grabbed the door knocker and tapped on the austere double door that rang with an air of impenetrability. I could hear the hollow reverberations inside, and from all appearances the house was utterly empty. But then, just as I was about to turn on my heels and retreat, I heard the faint sounds of footsteps approaching the door. The handle moved as I gulped and stood tall. The door swung open, and there, like it was a perfect movie moment, was Kathy. Bob Goff? What a name, Bob Goff. Wait, that's the author's name. Sorry, Bob. Beautiful name. Way better than David Joseph. Bob Goff is a name you can't forget. But Kathy didn't forget it. Actually, I took a picture of that train today. Bob Goff, she gasped, in a mortified half-shout, half-moan. Half-moan, Apparently, she was the only girl in the sorority house at the time, and it obviously caught her by surprise. Actually, her body language gave off kind of a combination plate of surprises. Gave off kind of a combination plate of surprise, alarm, and I think I saw her throw up a little bit in her mouth. That's probably what happens with Grace. Every time she saw me, she threw up in her mouth. That's why she's avoiding me now. I understand. Common occurrence. Come in, she stuttered, almost trying to retrieve the words as she spoke them. I knew it was over, but I went in anyway. You don't waste a 24-hour road trip like that. As I walked in, I was immediately taken by the grandeur of the huge sorority house. There was a marble entry with bronze accents, marble walls with bronze fixtures, marble and bronze statues spread out. Yeah, we get it. A lot of marble, a lot of bronze. Jesus. Sorry. Could be a better way of writing that sentence, Grace. It's confusing my brain. There's a marble entryway with bronze accents, marble walls with bronze fixtures, marble and bronze statues spread out like sentries in every direction. I guess that the founder of the sorority must have invented marble and bronze or something. Whew. Just off the entryway, which we quickly transited, was another huge room anchored by a fireplace and a crackling fire, and punctuated by a life-size bust of someone set on a table behind the couch. I figured it must have been a president or a prime minister, but wasn't sure. Kathy quickly and nervously ran me through the house for a quick tour. She was always polite. I fleetingly wondered how odd it must have been for her to have me there. As Kathy whisked me towards the front door again, I passed the fireplace room, and what struck me as strange was that the bust in front of the fireplace was gone. It was just gone. Really, I thought? What happened to the bronze bust? Los Angeles was indeed an even more unusual place than I originally thought. I was still scratching my head and puzzling over what was missing when Kathy heard me out the door. We walked to campus, where Kathy pointed to one building after another and told me about all the amazing experiences she was having and all the amazing people who went to UCLA. But we never really got around to the "why did you dump me" conversation. This was not by accident, of course, because what I gathered later had occurred was this. Kathy and her big brother were the only ones at the sorority house that day and were snuggling on the couch in front of the fireplace when I knocked on the door. When Kathy said my name, the guy immediately froze and struck a chiseled pose as I walked by. Later, as Kathy was touring me around the house, he must have slipped out the front door. The chap kept looping around and passing by the two of us as we walked around campus. I guess the guy who ends up with a girl sometimes is just as insecure as the guy who gets dumped by her. Get used to it, buddy. I get dumped every day. Don't hear me bitching and complaining about it. Begging grace to come back to my life. Nope. Plan B. Famous comedian by night. Average pastor by day. Cult leader in between. Later that afternoon, Kathy walked me out to my Volkswagen, and I opened the door. I didn't really know what to say. I finally got out. Did you really mean what you said in your letter about us? It wasn't one of those deep, thoughtful, and probing questions. I had practiced all the way down to Los Angeles, but it was all I could come up with at the time. Yep, she confirmed as she patted me on the hand, stepped back, and muttered something about how she had to run to class. I drove away dejected as I left UCLA and Kathy in the rearview mirror. Kathy married Bronze Boy, and I never really found out why he got upstaged. The fact that he was more handsome than me, had more potential than me, was smarter than me, and wasn't angling for a career that involved living in the woods, sleeping on a cot, eating TV dinners, or surfing, may have been more than a feather in the balance. Nevertheless, it's still hard to come in second. I learned that God sometimes allows us to find ourselves in a place where we want something so bad that we can't see past it. Sometimes we can't even see God because of it. When we want something that bad, it's easy to mistake what we truly need for the thing we really want. When this sort of thing happens, probably shouldn't do this so sarcastically. Pretty good advice. That's the way I process grace. A little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of bullshit. A little bit of humor, a little bit of day in the life of Dave, a little bit of school comedy, a little bit of talking to pretty girls, pretending to talk to pretty girls. What do you think? Chinese babies are pretty girls, which is going to get me in more trouble, Grace. I think Chinese babies. Because pretty girls, subjective. I mean, 9.9 out of 10 Chinese babies are pretty damn cute. And that last 0.1%, they don't bring to this park. That was mean until you realized all the other races are probably with like a 10% ugly rate. So, if anything, it's a compliment to all the Chinese babies and parents out there. You guys got it down to 1% ugly. Brilliant. In the Bible, the people following God did the same problem I did. They swapped the real image for an image of the real thing. We target the wrong thing, and our misdirected life's goal ends up looking like a girl, or a wide-brimmed hat, or a golden calf all along. What God really wanted for us is something much different, something more tailored to us. It's in my nature, or maybe all of our natures, to try and engineer things. So I skew the answers to get what I think I want. But when I do that, I also get what I don't want to, like a cot in a room full of guys. First time I wanted someone to care for me as much as would you. Where was I? If I had been successful, I wouldn't have experienced love in the unique way that I have. I wouldn't have found who and what God tailor-made for me. I'm kind of glad I ended up being a forest ranger or a surfer. I'm even glad things turned out the way they did after I drove away from UCLA. Well, painful at the time. I can see now, many years later, when I look in the rearview mirror of my life, evidence of God's tremendous love and unfolding adventure for me. Actually, the good thing about this book is you could just read the first half of the chapter and skip all the God stuff. It kind of keeps all of God stuff condensed at the end. It's nice. I like it. I read it all out of respect, of course. I received many letters since then in my life that started out Dear Bob. Some were letters so thick they had to be folded several times to fit in the envelope. It left me feeling as folded when I read their words, with shattering disappointment. Still, whatever follows my Dear Bobs is often another reminder that God's grace comes in all shapes, sizes, and circumstances as God continues to unfold something magnificent in me. And when each of us looks back at the turns and folds God has allowed in our lives, I don't think it looks like a series of folded over mistakes and do-overs that have shaped our lives. Instead, I think we'll conclude in the end that maybe we're all a little like human or origami, and the more creases we have, the better. Alright, Grace, a few minutes of news. I'll call it a day. I'm sick of this character, Grace. He's a hell of a character, Pastor Dave, but Be nice if real Dave could show up. Pastor Dave has some circulation issues. Here's the news. New York wants to Control-Alt-Delete your 3D printer. Despite elbows up, Canada on track to be net lender for U.S. for something. Made in Canada Electronics. From designs to delivery, we provide full-service PCB manufacturing. Hope they forgot about Artemis 2. Hope they forget all about Artemis 2. Moon astronauts are Musk's XAI SpaceX combo is the biggest merger of all time. Physicists push thousands of atoms to a Schrodinger's cat state. For the Day by Sam Altman. AI won't replace humans, but humans who use AI will be smart as fuck. Just a guess, Grace. But humans who use AI will replace those who don't. Pretty good quote. Ain't no Pastor Dave quote, but it'll work. More than 400 RCMP members accused of misconduct. How many fucking members are there in country, Grace? Scientists found a way to cool quantum computers using noise. Artemis 2 wet dress rehearsal. Launch abort. System hatch closed. SpaceX acquires XAI. Plans to launch a massive satellite constellation to power it. That's interesting. They'll fucking run it in space or something? For sure I had that idea a long time ago. Motherfucker stole it. Fucking Elon Musk. Stealing my ideas. 7 personal growth books you should read in 2026. This is good. This is exactly what people need to do. Read these 7 books. Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Deep Work by Cal Newport. Mindset by Carol S. Dweck. Drive by Daniel H. Pink. Pink. Theme of today. Pink. I've seen more pink jackets today, of varying shades, than ever in my entire life. Grace. Number 5, The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. Number 6, Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. Number 7, You're a Badass by Jen Cicero. NASA's Perseverance discovers white kaolinite rocks on Mars, revealing millions of years of rain. Big surprise. Why the fuck did they care so much about the whole fucking water on Mars thing? How long does it take the sun to rotate? Don't know, don't care. The upgrade argument for desktops doesn't stand up anymore. Can a pocket-sized telescope be a real astrophotography tool? Elon Musk has landed the social media for AI agents platform Moltbook as a bold step for AI. Chicago brothers sacrificed normal teenage life to be full-time ice watchers in Minnesota. Africa is slowly splitting into 2 continents, as scientists say a new ocean could eventually form. Yeah, slowly, like not in our fucking lifetime. That's what this needs, is a filter. Only show me news that will matter in my fucking lifetime. Or this fucking week. Or this fucking second. Print and play scripper does with a single motor. Disney Animal Kingdom is permanently closing and opening dayland after blah blah blah. Astronomers spot time warp supernovas whose light has hasn't reached Earth. Well, Microsoft CTO Kevin Scott told CEO Satya Nadella, Canada should keep our options open on acquiring nuclear weapons. Yeah, that's what Canada needs is fucking nuclear bombs. What a bunch of fucking idiots. Experts thrilled as cameras capture footage of creature not seen in almost 40 years. Ouch. Oh, my leg's asleep, Grace. Fucked. R7 Mark II is a Canon EOS R7 Mark II coming in May. Can you pick one of those up for me, Grace? That'll be your punishment equivalent to leaving hair in the shower. Pick me up at the best Canon you can afford. Breaking my heart every day. Comet 3i Atlas interstellar object raises uncomfortable doubts about what is really passing through. Yeah, I don't think anyone really fucking cares. Inside Project Panama, 2 million books scanned and destroyed by Anthropic AI to train machines. Tech CEOs say AI is ushering in an age of abundance, but said the evidence shows the blah 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 blah. Psychology explains that overthinking at night is closely linked to how the brain produces blah blah blah. Guess we're at the don't give a fuck stage. Talk to Margaret.